Welcome to the Live Fit podcast with your host, Glenn Johnson. Today you will learn techniques for permanent weight loss and improved overall health.
Yes. It is time once again for the Live Fit podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Johnson, and this is episode 29. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. Today, I'm going to be talking about motivation, how to get it, how to keep it, and the 7 tools that will help you get there. I appreciate everybody who's left ratings and reviews for this show on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. You know, it's really good for the show. It helps other people find it because every time I get a rating or a review, it moves the show up a little bit higher. Every time there's a download, it moves it up a little bit higher, and then more people get to see it. And that's what I'm really here for, is to spread the word of how to live your life fit, healthy, and lean. If you'd like to sign up for my newsletter, you can do so on my website, and you'll be kept informed of all new shows, new episodes that come out, everything else I'm doing. I'm currently raising money for a diabetes ride that I'm going to be doing later on at the end of this month. So if you'd like to donate $5, $10, $20 to that, that would really be awesome. You can find the complete transcripts for this show, the sign up for the newsletter, and much, much more on my website at livefitpodcast.com. I'll see you there. How to stay motivated. As a personal trainer and the creator of Live Fit, people often ask me how they can stay motivated. Well, I tell them there is good news. It's not magic, and they can do it. I have 7 tools that will help you stay motivated. First, let me tell you my favorite ones for my personal motivation. The first one is my professional appearance. I have to look the part. Regardless of how much I know, how much experience I have, nobody's going to take me very seriously if I don't look like I follow my own advice. It's as simple as that. So that is a pretty big motivator when I don't want to get out of bed, when it's cold, when I'm just feeling blue in a slump. I think of that and I go, yeah, all right, better do it. And you know what? I always feel better afterwards. Always. I also like to give myself a little higher motivation by entering some sort of a public challenge. This could be a race, a ride, a walk, telling somebody I'm going to climb a certain mountain, just some sort of a challenge and putting it out there. I currently have been racing bicycles, and that right there is a challenge. I enter a race, and that gives me the fortitude I need to get out there and to train a little bit harder. It's not always easy. I'm not going to lie to you. There have been plenty of times when I am distracted by kids or by TV, want to go to the movies. Maybe I'm feeling lazy. There's plenty of times when I'm out there exercising and I just don't feel like giving it my all. And I do the best that I can. I'm not always giving it 100% or maybe not even 90%, but the majority of the time I do enough to accomplish those challenges and those goals. I think it's important to keep moving, to no matter what, even if I'm not going to go out and ride really hard and get my heart rate to 100%, I at least go out there and let my body know that it is still needed. And that's really the most important thing, is to let the body know that it's needed, because if you don't, it's going to kind of disappear on you. Use it or lose it. I also love being out in nature. That's one of the things I like about riding bikes. And yes, I'm on a road and oftentimes there's cars driving by, but sometimes I'll go out for a hike. That is my ultimate favorite. I used to take my dog Luna out and we'd go hiking through the woods or the desert or wherever we were at the time and just kind of commune with nature, smell the air and hear the silence or the birds and the wind and maybe the water, whatever is in your surroundings. Just really take it in and enjoy your environment. It was as invigorating for her as it was for me because she got to run around without a leash and I got to watch her do that, and it was really great. Now, if you can get in a sweat during all that, you're going to feel even much more invigorated. That itself is motivation. You come back feeling really fresh and clean and alive, and that is my motivation to do that again or to get in better shape so I can do that and enjoy it more. I had a client who wanted to climb Mount Rainier, and he knew that he could accomplish it, but he thought that his fitness level wouldn't allow him to really enjoy it. So we worked together for a while, and when he did Rainier, he said he was very, very glad he trained as hard as he did because it made the hike enjoyable. There were some other guys that were hating it. They were hating every minute of it, and he was able to enjoy this trip because he was in better shape. So it wasn't a matter of doing it or not doing it. It was a matter of doing it well. Regularity is key. I insist that I use my body every day. If I don't feel like going out for a hard ride, maybe I'll just go for a walk in the neighborhood. Maybe I'll just do some push-ups. But every single day, I do something to use my body. And the more often I do that, the more it is ingrained. And the less often you do that, the more that is ingrained. Or your willingness to skip a session snowballs. So let's say you have to work late on a Wednesday and you don't bring yourself to working out, and well, Thursday, maybe you have to kind of catch up with a little bit more work. Well, then the next day's Friday, and who wants to go to the gym or work out on a Friday, right? Well, then it's the weekend, you're doing things, going places, not really thinking much about it. Then Monday rolls along. What happens? Chances are, because you broke the pattern, you broke your routine, the snowball has taken over, and now you're not working out again for the next 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks until you reach that breaking point again and decide you need to get back into it. So that's why I say even doing a little something, even if it's just a really lousy workout, it's better than no workout at all. Even if you just go to the gym and walk on a treadmill for 10 minutes while you watch the TV, boom, that's better than doing nothing at all. Take a walk around your neighborhood. 5 minutes is better than doing nothing, but do it every day. Ingrain it in your head, just like brushing your teeth. You do it every day. You might not want to do it. You don't really think about it as being optional, so you do it. Every day you do it. You take a shower. You put on your clothes before you go out in public. It might be something you don't really like doing, but yet you do it anyways. And that's what exercise needs to be if it's going to be most effective for you. You can also improvise. Like I was saying, if I go out and I have an intention of riding really hard and really kicking butt, and yet then I get out there, I just am not feeling it, I'll go ahead and scale it down a little bit. It's okay. I'm doing something. I'm improvising. Maybe instead of going for this long ride, I'm going to go for a short little podunk ride through the neighborhoods and do some exploring. Now I'd like to give you my 7 tools for motivating yourself and others. The first one is goals or challenges. Then we have the pain-pleasure principle. Third is journaling. Fourth is remembering. 5, discipline. 6, make it fun. And 7, habits and patterns. Starting at the top, goal setting. It is really, really imperative that you set a goal. I kind of think of goal setting or goals as a map. If you want to go from one point to another, you see where you want to go, okay? That's kind of your goal, but it needs to be finite. It needs to be specific. It needs to be measurable. Take your pen, take your hand and a pen and write it down on a piece of paper exactly what you want to accomplish. If I want to drive from here to New York City, I'm going to write New York and circle it. And then, here's the key. I don't imagine myself going from Portland, Oregon to New York City, because that's overwhelming. That's daunting. That's 2,000 some miles. It's really, really far. And if I don't have a GPS or a map and I can't take interstates, it's overwhelming how far and how difficult it's going to be. I'm going to get somewhere in the middle of the country and wind up in Mexico. So what I'm going to do after I write down my major goal is write down some stepping goals, some small goals that are going to take me to my big goal. Think of it another way. If you have a house, the roof is probably at least 12 to 15 feet high. Can you jump up to your roof? Probably not. What if you train for it? What if you do all kinds of leg exercises and plyometrics and jumping exercises, and you really, really, really want to be able to do it, and you hope and you pray and you try really, really hard? Are you going to be able to jump up on top of your roof? No. But if you want to get on the roof, you can lean a ladder up against it and walk up the steps, the rungs, one at a time. Well, those are your little stepping goals. Those are the goals you need to do to work your way to your large goal, your main goal. So if I want to drive from Portland to New York, I'm going to have these little city, probably where I'm going to sleep at night, mini goals, stepping goals to take me to New York City. So I'm going to start off and drive to, I don't know, maybe Boise and spend the night there. And then I'm going to go to, I don't know, whatever the next town is, maybe Salt Lake City, and then I'll stop there. And those are going to be my goals. And as I can check them off on my little list, I can see it on the map how I'm progressing and moving along towards my big goal. Now, the next tool with motivation is the pain-pleasure principle. And this is something that I don't feel gets enough attention. And I know that people know this intuitively. It's painful to exercise. It's pleasurable to sit on a couch and eat chips and drink beer and watch TV all evening. And if you don't want to feel the pain of exercise, chances are you're not going to exercise. But what if we flip that over a little bit, and instead of focusing on the pain of the exercise, focus on the pleasure you will get after the exercise? How good will you feel emotionally that you did something? That you did something worthwhile? How good will you feel physically when your body is alive and invigorated, has the endorphins rushing around through it, and you have a nice glow in your skin, and you have energy, and you're walking around feeling great? How good are you going to feel a couple of months down the line when you are feeling much stronger, sleeping better, have more energy throughout the day, you've shed some excess body fat? All those things are pleasurable. So if you focus on the pleasure side rather than the painful side of exercise, what will you get out of it? What is your pleasure principle? That will overrule the pain of getting off the couch and starting that run. I admit I don't love to exercise all the time, but I do it anyways because I always remember how good it feels. I don't like to shower, but I love how it feels afterwards. I shower 1 to 3 times a day. I do it even though I don't actually like the act of getting undressed and getting wet and getting in the shower, but I love how I feel afterwards. So I do it, and that is my pleasure. Third is journaling. Now, this can be taken to any extreme. You can write down as much or as little as you want, but I will insist that you write down your big goal, your primary goal, and then any stepping goals you have along the way. Now, let me back up just a skosh to when I say goal setting. It has to be specific and measurable. A bad example of this is having a goal that says, I want to be fit. Now, I hear this all the time, and people have an image in their head of what that means, but it doesn't mean anything to me. A good way to make it measurable would be put a number to it. So if you want to accomplish a goal to do 100 push-ups, that is measurable. It's also very specific. And it's also something that a stranger can determine if you are successful or not. If they stand there and watch you and count your push-ups, they can see how many push-ups you do. Yet if you walk up to them and say, am I fit? It really all depends on their perception and what they see of you, if you're fit or not, and they have no idea what you were like 6 months ago. So maybe you are more fit, but they don't know that. All they know is where you are now. But if you say, can I do 100 push-ups? And then you do push-ups and they can count that, then bingo, there you are. And that's the perfect kind of thing to put in your journal. So you're going to write down your goal, 100 push-ups, and a stepping goal, 20 push-ups, 25 push-ups, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and then check them off along the way. And you're going to keep these in your journal. So when you're looking back at it at any point, sometime in the middle is a good time. Look back and say, oh, I only could do 20 push-ups when I first started this, and now I can do 50. I guess that's pretty good. It's still far from 100, but it's pretty good. It's also a good way to write those pleasures in there. Maybe you forgot how much fun you had on a particular run or running at all. So when you get back from this really great run, write down how great you feel and why you feel that way. Was it the route you were on? Was it the person you were with? Was it the weather? Was it the food combination you had before you started the run? Whatever you think it might be. It's important to write these things down to help jog your memory and then go back to them from time to time. Keep track of where you're going and you'll be able to see where you've been. My next tip is to remember, and that's why I like the journal, because these two work together. I want you to remember how good you feel at the height of a workout or right after a workout or a little bit after a workout. You're going to feel mentally and emotionally accomplished, and you're going to feel good spiritually. But what about your body? I always feel better. Always feel better after workout. I think there may have been one time out of 200 exercises that I didn't feel better, and that was probably because I was sick or had something else going on. But I would say 99.9% of the time, I feel better after a workout than I did before. Even if it's only 2% better, even if it was a lousy workout, really weak, sad workout, I still feel better than if I didn't do it at all. So I want you to remember that. Remember how good you felt afterwards, even if it's just a little bit, because that's what's going to get you to do it the next time. And the next time, and the next time. Keep focusing on the good, the pleasure of your workout. Some people don't like to exercise, and all they see and focus on is the pain. Don't focus on the pain. Focus on the pleasure. Because it is fun, and it will make you feel good. You can have fun. You can have enjoyment, even if it's not fun at the time. There's what's called type 2 fun, and that is not fun now, but fun later. Have you ever been on a roller coaster that scared the crap out of you and you weren't having fun at all, but then after you got off, kind of chuckled and said, yeah, that was fun after all? That's what it's like. Now, discipline. All this is going to take some discipline. And the tips I'm giving you are to help diminish the strength that your discipline has to be. I can't tell you how many times somebody has told me they don't have discipline. Oh, you have discipline because you were in the military. Well, I wasn't born with discipline. All these different things they say basically comes down to the fact that they don't have discipline. Well, tell you what, nobody was born with discipline. Think of a baby. That's your id right there. That's the child. They want what they want right now, and they don't care about the consequences. They have no discipline. You can say, well, you can, if you do this, you can have that. And unless they're old enough to really understand what that means, if we're talking about a 1 or a 2-year-old kid, they don't care about what's coming up. They don't have discipline at all. We have to build discipline. And everybody, as they age, develops discipline to a certain extent, some more than others. And you're going to need some discipline, but don't rely completely on discipline. And that's why we have a plan, and that's why we keep a journal, and that's why we are remembering how good it feels after a workout, so we don't have to rely on discipline. Just do it because I said do it. That doesn't work with most people. Most adults don't like to be told what to do. Some are really adamantly against being told what to do, even if it's themselves telling them what to do. So don't risk your health and rely and put all of your health in that one discipline basket, because it's going to fail you eventually. Even the most disciplined person is going to drop the ball. So take these steps. Establish your goal. Establish stepping goals so you work your way up to it, and just focus on that one goal at a time, each goal at a time. Focus on the pleasure of each goal. As some part of it, there's going to be some pleasure. You're going to find some sort of pleasure in a way, either during, immediately after, or a long ways after, maybe a physical, maybe an emotional pleasure, but you're going to feel it. Remember that. And that all strengthens your discipline. These baby steps of working towards your goal is what is going to make it real. You cannot jump onto the roof of your house like that. We have to take these little steps. And if you do manage to somehow jump up and grab on with your hands and then swing your feet up to it, you're not going to stay up there. You're going to fall off eventually. So make these habits real, make them solid, ingrain them into your body. The discipline won't have to work so hard because it will fatigue. You'll need to use some. Certainly, you're going to have to use some. Seeing the consequences of not getting off that couch will enable you to do your exercises, but you have to have the discipline to make that consequence a reality, and also remembering how good it does feel once you do move your body. And that brings me to enjoyment. It's really best if you like what you're doing. Many people ask me, what's the best cardio exercise? And I say, the one that you like. I love riding a bike. There's other things I like to do, but I love riding a bike. I really like to hike. I don't much like running, but I do run because it's a quick, effective workout that you can do pretty much anywhere with pretty much no equipment. Swimming is a fantastic cardio exercise. I cannot think of a better exercise than swimming. I really can't. Yet, I don't really like to swim. I'm a good swimmer. I can swim in the ocean. I've taken lifeguard training. I am a strong swimmer, but it's boring. I just don't like swimming in pools, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I don't like that, so I don't do it very often, but it is a good workout. But what I do like is cycling, and because I like it, I do it more often. I do it with more gusto. I do it for longer periods of time. I make my challenges cycling-based. I make my recreation cycling-based, and because of that, I'm much more fit than I would be if I was forcing myself to swim. Everything I've talked about so far is meant to give you a habit, to build a pattern, because that is what put us out of shape in the first place. Our bad habits, bad patterns. If your habit is to sit on the couch and watch TV every night and eat a bag of chips, that is a habit, that is a pattern that you have established at some point. And so to change that is really just going to be a little bit of change, but you have to change your mind. You have to have it in your head that that is not something that you do anymore. Don't rely on discipline. Just say, look, this isn't me. I don't do that anymore. Find something else to do. If you really want to sit and watch TV, find something else to do with your hands that doesn't involve feeding your face. There's little arts and crafts. There's knitting and macrame and drawing and origami. You could even play a video game with your hands, some sort of thing to keep your hands busy. Maybe eat really low-calorie things like celery or chew gum, something to keep your mouth busy. But you have to change that pattern. That pattern of what you were doing that is not healthful needs to change to one that is. And if you establish a strong goal, make these little tiny baby steps, do one thing at a time, you will gradually drift away, and it won't be such a shock to your pride or your ego that you're no longer doing this thing that you really love to do, even though you know it's not good for you. If you want to change your results, you have to change your pattern. Now, I want to caution you, while you are traveling towards your goal, you're taking your baby steps, you're writing things down in your journal, you're still going to reach a dip, the middle point, somewhere in the middle of this journey. You're going to reach a low point where it's too far from the beginning and too far from the end. You just don't feel like you're making very good progress. You feel lost. You feel like a cork bobbing in the ocean. You feel like you don't have any direction anymore. You're tired of doing it. You just want it to be easy. You just want to be there. You don't have the excitement of this new thing you're doing. You don't have the encouragement that you're almost done. You've been working really hard and you don't feel like you have that much to show for it. Now is the time to look at your journal. Go back and see how far you have come. Remember that push-up challenge, that push-up goal that I said, 100 push-ups. That's a lot of push-ups. Well, maybe you are at the 60, 70 point and you just feel that it's impossible to do 100, that you can't do that many push-ups. Well, if you look at your goals, if you look at your baby steps in your journal, you'll see that you were once doing 20 push-ups, and that 20 was pretty hard, and 25 was hard, and 30 was hard, and 40 was hard, but you did it, and now you're up to where you are now. So you are making progress. You are moving in a forward direction or an upwards direction towards improvement. It's really imperative that you keep going. How many times have you started something and quote-unquote failed? I've talked to so many people that say they're great starters, but they never finish. Well, that's because they get to the dip, the place, the time of this goal where it's unfun. It's just not fun anymore, and they quit. My last podcast, number 28, was called Life is Like a Bike Race. And really what I meant was a goal, seeking a goal, is like a bike race. And it's like that because, well, I feel that it really is. At the beginning, it's really exciting. Maybe it's kind of easy because you're with the group and everyone's riding together and you don't really have to work that hard. And then somewhere in the middle, it gets hard and you're getting really tired. And the group's going up a hill and they've spread out and you cannot see the first guy anymore. He's way up the road and you have no chance of winning or even top 10. Maybe you're at the back, maybe you're in the middle. It doesn't matter. You're not doing great. You're really tired. You're really discouraged. All you want to do is quit and sit on the side of the road and cry. But though I've been like that in practically every race I've ever done, I press on. I press on. I press on. And eventually the race is over and I feel awesome. Even if I didn't win, I still feel good that I persevered. And there is really something to be said. And it's a great feeling when you push through that dip, because when you do this, you'll see that accomplishing the goal isn't the feat. Getting through the dip is the feat, because once you get through that dip, then it's fairly easy. When you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, when you can see those last 5 miles and then 4 miles and then 3 miles and you're zooming along, it gets a lot easier. And as you know, you only have to ride for another 3 miles. You can give it more energy and go much faster and really finish fine. But it's the dip that is hard. So do everything you can to get through that dip. It would be a good time to get a personal trainer, to get a coach, anything that you can do. I've mentioned before that I do have a coaching program. I will help get you through that dip. Don't be waylaid by the dip. If the goal was important to you once, it's still important to you. And that's exactly why we write it down. You write down your goal. You write down how you're going to accomplish your goal, your plan. Write down why it's important to you. Look back at your progress, and that will help propel you through. Motivation is a tricky thing. It works differently for different people. Some people are motivated by encouragement. Some people are motivated by doubt. In other words, somebody saying, I don't think you can do that. Well, they have to prove them wrong, right? Some people really like the cheerleader. Come on, you can do it, you can do it. Whatever works for you, works for you. It must be dealt with using care and finesse. Each person is different. They respond differently. Know yourself. You should know yourself by now. There is no rule book. There's only ideas. There's guides. There's pointers. These 7 motivating tools are the ones that I found work the best for my clients together as a group. You can't use just one by itself most of the time. Sometimes with a more experienced person you can, but somebody just starting out, you really need to use all of them. And don't forget, you just might need to improvise. If something's not working, if it's not working, change your angle of attack. The goal and the plan you start off with back in December might not be appropriate now in July. Don't quit your goal. Don't get lost in the dip. But if you need to retool and refresh and re-angle and use a fresh approach and a different technique, please do so. So keep an open mind. Keep the big picture in mind. Don't get lost on the minutia, the tiny little details. Keep your focus on where you want to go and be clear that you want to go there and why you want to go there, and do it no matter what. Well, that's it for the show. Thanks for listening. Please keep those reviews coming in iTunes and Stitcher Radio. You can subscribe, read the show notes, articles, and all about my weight loss programs at livefitlean.com. Once again, thanks for listening, and always remember to live fit.